This is take two. This is take two. I got 3 minutes into take one, and I had one of those phone calls, even though I'm closed, that just is a persistent caller. You know, when someone just, if you ring some, not that anyone rings anyone anymore, if you ring someone, generally speaking, give it 20 seconds. If they don't answer, then they're not going to answer, or there's no one there. But this person really did insist on ringing for 2.5 minutes, and it was kind of annoying. So I thought, yep, rewind, let's start again. So, take two. Hello, welcome to Phones Unplugged. Dave's Unplugged. Welcome to episode 49 of Inside the Video Store. Now, I'm not a celebratory person. I don't do birthdays. I don't really do Christmas. I don't do anything remarkably, remotely happy, to be honest. I don't do occasions. I'm a miserable person. So, my desire to just walk on through episode 50 is quite strong, but I think some of you may want to commemorate 50 episodes of Inside the Video Store. So next week, why don't I leave everything up to you? Tell me what you want to see. Tell me what you want to do. Tell me where you want me to go. If you want to highlight anything, if you want to know something I haven't mentioned, if you want to go somewhere I haven't mentioned, if you want to see a section that I don't talk about, if you just anything, just drop me a note in the comments of anything you want to see, and I will completely, aside from the regular features, I will let you be in complete control of the episode. What could possibly go wrong? So that's next week. But yeah, this is episode 49. Episode 48 was remarkably popular. I don't know why. I think it may be because I used the word mega 3 times. Thus, people thought the episode was more exciting than it turned out to be. Although I thought it was quite exciting on the whole, to be honest. Not that I watch these things again. That would be quite awful. I'll let you do that and tell me what I did wrong. So episode 49, what do we got coming up today? It's a strong show, to be honest. It's a strong show. I'm going to whip through. I've got things to get to at home. I'm in the middle of a couple of articles for the Schlock Pit, including an interview with Alex Simon, who was a screenwriter for a number of Roger Corman films. He's one of those guys who you interview that doesn't really have any filter, so it gives you some really good gossip, some of which you can't print, but hey. But he did give me the intriguing exclusive that's never been printed anywhere before, that Barbara Streisand did second unit on a Roger Corman movie, which is quite a remarkable little story. But I'll tell you more about that on our website, the Schlock Pit, in the coming weeks and days. Also, we're going to hit top gear, not literally. We're going to hit top gear on our next audio commentary, which is for Arrow Video. It's for a film that has never seen any other format since VHS. I can't wait for it to come out on Blu-ray. It's tremendously exciting. It's one of my favorite B movies from the 1980s. And we had the director get in touch with us this week saying that he would like to join us on the audio commentary, which is absolutely fantastic. We get to do a threesome on the audio commentary and talk about the history of the film from a first-hand perspective, which is so valuable. Doing these audio commentaries is great, but when you can actually get someone that was there telling you how it really went down, then that's the really cool thing. Except if you're doing what did we do recently? Oh yeah, we did get a brief before we did the Critters movies, just to say, don't say anything remotely controversial, which is fairly difficult with us. I do have a story about us saying something controversial and us facing rather large consequences after it. But I can't tell you that because I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. That's a story for another day. Ply me with wine. I'll get there. Let's crack on because Tempus Fugit. It's a really good week, as it would be. It's the last week of the month. So we have a nice raft of boutiques. Although contemporary films, we're still coughing and spluttering. Is this the new normal? Are we faced with a situation where contemporary films made in the last year, don't really come out all that often on Blu-ray and DVD. I don't know. I mean, you can flick back. I can show you my order sheets in the back from 15, 20 years ago. And I'm ordering 18, 19, 20 titles per week, 80 titles per month of brand new films. February, I think I ordered 12. This week it's 1. Is that all right? I don't know. It's just changing, isn't it? It's evolving, but we're busy. So, yeah, it's just evolving. It's just evolving. It's just the way it is. So let's have a look anyway. The one contemporary film that is in is a big one. And we have Film on Loan, we have Film on Loan, we have Film on Loan. These flew out as soon as they hit the ground on, well, hit the counter, really, let's be precise. It is Heretic. Sorry, I actually had a lady who was really, really lovely lady came in on Tuesday, and she couldn't pronounce it. She couldn't get the words out. Heteric. And I said, look, you can't rent it until you can pronounce it, which is a terrible thing to say because she might have been dyslexic and, problematic Dave as usual. Anyway, we got there in the end, and her lovely partner was able to pronounce it. But yeah, Heretic is out now, stars Hugh Grant, and it's meant to be absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Can't wait to see it. It looks like I might have to wait. Onto the boutiques. Nice little collection. I wasn't going to get this because I have no affinity for this film whatsoever. I'd never seen it. I was never into toys as a child. I wasn't allowed them. So I have no comprehension of what Masters of the Universe was. I remember something vaguely on television when I was a kid. But people, I know Rich, who owns 88 Films, I have rarely known him to be that excited over a release. He is like a kid in a candy store for this release. And yeah, it is Masters of the Universe on limited edition Blu-ray. And it's a very nice edition, to be honest. Lovely hard box. We got a second slip. Stacked with special features, a couple of commentaries on one commentary on there, and loads of interviews. So it's a very well curated set from 88 Films, produced, of course, by the Canon Group, Golden Globus. So yeah, that is in now on a Blu-ray, a title we've never had at Snips before, so that's quite exciting. Much more highbrow is Douglas Sirk in Germany. Of course, Douglas Sirk was a German-born filmmaker. What's his name? Hans Detlef Sirk, I think his name was, birth name. Became Douglas Sirk, made some amazing melodramas in the 1950s, All That Heaven Allows, etc., etc. Wonderful films. But of course, this is some of his early German work put out by the Masters of Cinema collection this week, which is very exciting indeed. I think there's 6 films on here. Yeah, there is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Nice little set. As I said, as I threatened, I'm going to try and invest more in Radiance this year, who are really putting out some great stuff. The Cat is one of them. I think I have a comment somewhere on Instagram saying someone watched it and loved it. But this is a German film by Dominic Graf. Sounds absolutely terrific. Heist drama. Radiance said The Cat is one of his greatest, and it is a heist film of the highest order. So yeah, that is The Cat from 1988, out this week on Blu-ray. I do like a bit of Tom Noonan. Who doesn't like Tom Noonan? If you've ever seen Manhunter, stunning actor, and he's a really great playwright and director as well, and this is one of his. I think, is it? Might be lying. Well, he directed the film anyway. I don't know if he wrote it. I don't think he did. But this is one of his films from 1994. He did some really interesting indie films in the 90s. And this is What Happened Was, the second, one of the other releases from Radiance this week. One from 88, we have Sex and Zen. which is another one of their Cat 3 films. Don't ask me to define what a Cat 3 film is. I do know, but I'll get it hopelessly wrong. Yeah, it is also known as the Carnal Prayer, and slightly based on the 17th century novel The Carnal Prayer, Matt. We follow a desperate man who was convinced by his mentor that he needs to be well equipped to pleasure his wife. So he has a horse's appendage transplanted onto him. From here on in, it gets really strange. No shit, Sherlock. Box office hit in Hong Kong. And a Cat 3 experience like no other. That is Sex and Zen, with 88 really doing a fine job on the hard slips there. Now this I'm really excited about. It is called Crossing Delancey. If you ever put an episode of Pure Cinema podcast on, you may hear Brian Sauer telling us about his absolute besotted feelings for the films of Joan Micklin-Silver. I'm unfamiliar with the work of Joan Micklin-Silver, but Brian absolutely swears by her. She says she is an inspirational director whose films you should check out with immense haste. I must do this, but the fact that Crossing Delancey has come out this week on Criterion, on 4K UHD, on Blu-ray is pretty exciting, and this seems like the perfect way to start to look into the films of Joan Micklin-Silver and to see if Brian is right. And of course he's right, because he's a scholar of films. More from Eureka here. We have Dr. Vampire, which is this related to the other vampire movies? I would guess so in some degree, probably not. It's a perfect blend of horror and comedy with shades of Vamp, Fright Night, and of course, Hong Kong's own Mr. Vampire series. Looks great fun. It's from 1990. I do like these wacky Hong Kong vampire movies. And here's another one. Finally this week, with the newbies, we have another one from 88 Films as part of their Shaw Brothers collection. Another Shaw Brothers film, quite remarkable. They keep on stacking up. As I always say to you, 10 years ago we had 2. Now we're probably closing in on 100, which is just fantastic. It is the Lady Assassin. It mixes pageantry with some of the most awesome sword fights in any Shaw Brothers film. First time in the UK on Blu-ray. Exciting, exciting. So they are this week's new arrivals. Good stuff, good stuff. Let's have a look at what's on loan. Hey, another great week. Another great week. People really outdoing themselves, just renting phenomenal films. Phenomenal films. They really do have some great taste. They do have some great taste. I wonder if people feel pressured when they come in a video store. You know, when you go to, if I go in a record store, I kind of feel, you know, like I went into Rough Trade last week and I bought 4 jazz albums, and you know, you're kind of eyeballing the cashier just to say, yeah, you know, bit of jazz, I know what I'm talking about. And you do that kind of thing where it's, you know, you wouldn't like to go to the counter in Rough Trade and buy, I don't know, a McFly album or something like that, because you would feel quite embarrassed, and rightly so. Sorry. But I wonder if people come in here and they feel as though they have to get something relatively highbrow or critically acclaimed, or, you know, relatively cool, or whether they just don't care. I think most people don't care, to be honest. I mean, I'm nobody, aren't I? So I think people just generally tend to gravitate towards stuff they just really, really want to see. Put that coffee down. Let's see what's been renting out. It's great to see Kai back in the store this week. He rented a nice threesome, one of which is a very Kai film, and probably he will be the only person to rent this. It is Gut Pile from Saturn's Core, one of my favorite labels at the moment. Gut Pile came in a few months back. It's has the weighty running time of 53 minutes. It's shot by New York-based filmmaker Jerry O'Sullivan, combining the Evil Dead with a shot-on-video scarecrow killer angle. Sounds fantastic. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to hear his thoughts. One of my favorite French comedies that stars Daniel Auteuil and Gerard Depardieu is The Closet. It came out quite some time ago now, 23 years ago, which is quite remarkable. I do find this funny. I wonder how well it's aged, given the way we're more sensitive towards stuff, and rightly so. It'd be interesting to watch this and see if it's a bit cringy. You know, after all, a guy pretending that he's gay in order to save his job. Be quite interesting to look at from a modern day perspective. Good old Matt was in last week. He didn't rent one Russ Meyer film on 4K UHD. He didn't rent two Russ Meyer films on 4K UHD. He rented three Russ Meyer films on 4K UHD. Yes, the entire Vixens trilogy was taken by Mr. Penny. Wonderful rental decision. £5 for three Russ Meyer 4K UHDs. That is an absolute, it's an outrage. So cheap, it's an outrage. If you were to buy those in the shop, they would cost you somewhere in the region of £110. So to rent them for a fiver, brilliant. I mean, that's what this place is about. It's taken the sting, you know, justifiably, I might add. That's great. Obviously, these things cost a premium to manufacture, but it's great that people can come in here and rent them for pennies, because that's the important thing. It's taking the pressure off people, and they don't have to get themselves into debt and stack up films they're never going to rewatch just because buying is the only answer. Buying isn't the only answer. They can come in here and rent stuff for a nominal fee, which is really, really important. So I hope he enjoys those. They're great films. He has seen them before. He was telling me he has the original Russ Meyer box set. I'm sure it will be like night and day watching those on 4K UHD. Poor Mark is suffering. And we should all take a moment. His son has discovered the sci-fi SYFY original movie and the asylum section at the front of the store, above the door. It's one of my vanity projects. I love films from the asylum. I love films on the Sci-Fi Channel. I love the original features. I think they're all amazing. They're just great. And Mark's son has discovered this section too, and he is renting. He rented two-headed shark attack, three-headed shark attack, five-headed shark attack, Sharknado 1, 2, and 3, and this week he's rented Sharkzilla. I mean, his poor father. But you know, I'm kind of envious, to be honest. Maybe I should, if he wants a surrogate father to watch these with him, then that's fine, because I would love to watch these movies again. They're great fun. They are great fun. I was saying to someone else this week, I said, you know, for a kid, if you're just like, I don't know, sort of, you're not ready for 15s, but you are kind of, you're growing older. They're great for kids, because most of these films on the air on TV, they're PG-13. So there's not too much gore. There's barely any sex. And they're just great for kids. They're great for kids. And like, kids of that age aren't as cynical as us kids, who kind of watch average CGI and kind of, oh, God. So yeah, really pleased to see them getting an airing anyway. It's very cool indeed. I had a customer tell me that their son is reading Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and they would like a film version that's vaguely accurate. I didn't really know, so I just took a punt on the Spencer Tracy and Ingrid Bergman version, because I thought, well, it's directed by Victor Fleming, and it's just, you know, it might not be the most faithful version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but you get to watch a Spencer Tracy and Ingrid Bergman film while you're pretending to do schoolwork. So, you know, hey, sounds fine. I had a great guy in this week who had come all the way from Manchester. He happened to be in town because he was watching the Everton game, and he came over the water to check this place out. And he was pretty impressed. He watches the video, so hey to James. Great to meet you, and yeah, I hope he continues to rent films, even though it's a little bit awkward getting here for some people. He asked me for recommendation. He said, "Give me a '70s gritty crime orientated thing." And it's one of those when someone asks you for recommendation, you do tend to go blank. But I thought I'm going to go for Sitting Target, so that's the one I gave him. He hadn't seen it before. I hope he likes it. I know it's a great film, and it's one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite films of that era. And it's a difficult one to come by. So I thought, yeah, dip into the Warner Archive section, and we'll go for this. Go for this. So that's cool, really cool to see that guy coming over here. Another new person. Hammer doesn't get much of a walkabout very often, so it's cool that one of my customers is taking a trip through a good portion of the Hammer section right now, which is really nice to see. They rented The Brides of Dracula this week. Jimmy Sangster, directed by Terence Fisher. The perfect Hammer combo. So that's really great. And finally, a shout out for Full Moon and for Ben, who was in renting Femalien or Femalien. I always say Femalien. It sounds better. But yeah, this was part of Charlie's Surrender Cinema range, which I think is brilliant. Because it is, I had Andy who watches the video. He was in, him and his son are watching they watched the pre-Hysteria films recently, and because Full Moon is such a broad church, we have erotica, we have horror, we have comedy, we have kids films. Charlie doesn't really tend to differentiate between any of them, so the trailer he puts on at the start of pre-Hysteria happens to include all the gory, like puppet master killings and things like that, which I didn't really remember. But hey, but good to see this going out, and I love the way that this section is so diverse, and that you can go from awesome kids films to Ooga Booga. Yeah, 16 inches with an attitude. We've all been there. Okie dokie, let's pop that up there because I think someone's going to fall over. There we go. Let's have a quick look at what is in the box. It's a perfectly formed box this week, and it's a box that has arrived from Vinegar Syndrome. Excellent, exciting. Yeah, we just got the 9 films to go through. I wasn't, I dip in and out with the sub labels, but sometimes there's not that much, and there's no point spending money if there's nothing there that you think is going to fly out. Now, first up though, I saw this last night, which is a very wacky film indeed. Sorry, just trying to watch my microphone so I don't knock it. A very wacky film indeed. It is The Carpenter with Wings Hauser from 1988. Not a film about the Lord Jesus, sadly. It is about a guy with a very big drill. It's a good film. It's very trippy. It's Canadian, but it can exploitation. Very trippy, very surreal at times. The only 35mm print that Vinegar Syndrome could track down happened to be a very, very censored 35mm print. So the way they combated that, the way they got around that was, sorry, just checking the time, to insert the gore from a tape source. Slightly jarring in quality, but at least it's complete. And if that's the only way that we're going to get The Carpenter on Blu-ray, then so be it. That's fine. That's fine by me. That's fine by me. Looks good. Good special features. Nice to see Wings looking so healthy since he died. That's the main thing. That's just when was that? About 3 years ago. I think Brad Henderson from Terrorvision announced that Wings Hauser had died. He's fine. Next up, we have White Cannibal Queen, which is an interesting film from our beloved Jess Franco. An expectedly outrageous lo-fi cannibal film from Eurosleaze master Jess Franco. A marvel of bad taste. So I think that's what I'll be taking home tonight. That is White Cannibal Queen. Very cool indeed. What else we got? Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, this is only available on 4K and Region A Blu-ray, and that's The Possession of Joel Delaney. Don't know much about this. A few people were really excited with it coming to physical media. It's described as a tense and genuinely unnerving story of paranoia and the supernatural from acclaimed director Waris Hussein, and adapted from Ramona Stewart's chilling novel of the same name. It was one of the earliest films to emerge in the cycle of 1970s possession thrillers, and it's helmed with an emphasis on documentary-like realism and taking great visual advantage of seedy early 70s New York City. Well, we love stuff on the ground that captures the sort of the seedy side of New York City in the 1970s. We love that. Customers like Lee will absolutely go crazy for that film, so that's very cool indeed. Also from Vinegar Syndrome, we have The Mansion of Madness, which is the directorial debut of the infamous Mexican director Juan Lopez. It's loosely based on the Edgar Allan Poe short story The System of Dr. Tar and Professor Feather, mixing gothic horror elements with contemporary absurdism. It uses stunning visuals clearly inspired by Alexandra Jodorowsky. Right, this looks really cool indeed. 1972. There we go. The Mansion of Madness. Have a bit of that. Have a bit of that. So they're the Vinegar Syndrome films from the sub-labels, from the partner labels. This is from VHS Hitfest. We have Deadly Obsession, the films of Bill Reeves. Interesting one. Bill Reeves is a self-proclaimed Ed Wood of VHS. He is a shot-on-video auteur who directed, wrote, edited, and stars in 10 movies over 3 decades, tackling everything from horror to slapstick comedy to documentary. None of the movies got distribution outside of Indiana. So here, VHS Hitfest present 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those 10 movies. Listen, one of my friends wrote to me when this was announced. I'd already ordered it. One of my friends, he lives in Indiana. He's the screenwriter John O. Dalton, who wrote such wonderful films as Close Encounters of the Shark Kind. And he said, oh, this guy's from Indiana. He lives 20 minutes away from me, and I've never even heard of him. And then 5 minutes later, but he's a Trump supporter. So yeah, that's a bit of a black mark against Bill Reeves' names. But still, the films look quite interesting. We should never let politics get in the way of art. Well, we should, but when it comes to shot on video films, it'll be quite interesting to kind of have a peek at those, even though obviously the guy is a lunatic. Marcus Koch. Rot. We have Rot by Florida-based filmmaker Marcus Koch, K-O-C-H. Known for his transgressive directorial output. This looks really, really cool, with a bit of Cronenbergian body horror, and it features Joel D. Wynkoop, the legendary Joel D. Wynkoop, and also I think is Tiffany Shepis in this? I think Tiffany Shepis is in this. But yeah, nice. Very cool indeed. So that's another great one from Saturn's Core. Tell you, one of the best labels going, Saturn's Core. So cool. And also from Saturn's Core, we have Red Lips. Red Lips. This is from Donald Farmer, the legendary shot-on-video icon, Donald Farmer. No, this is yeah, Michelle Bauer's in this. Astonishing cast. Yeah, this film is notable as one of the springboards for the shot-on-video lesbian vampire movie Explosion, which you'll be fully aware of, I'm sure. But yeah, that is Red Lips, out now from Saturn's Core Video. Final two from Vinegar Syndrome are both from Mediascene.com. Sadly, I can't rent these because they're pornography. But anyway, just to show you, we have this wonderful triple feature from Picorama, which includes The Vixens of Kung Fu, Sunny, and the Nightbird. And we also have Blonde Goddess, which is a loving tribute to the 1930s comic books and cinematic serials. Sounds great. Newly restored from its 35mm camera negative. Superb. They do put their heart and soul into these pornos, do Vinegar Syndrome. You have to hand it to them. Right, that's those. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. Let me not forget Jess Franco tonight. Let's have a quick look at your comments before we disappear. Stuff to do, people to see. What have we got? We have a pin to enter. Okie dokie. Comments from last week. Steve Trevor says, I wish I had a video store. Do you, Steve? You want to think twice about that. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Who am I kidding? Yes, it is. I might head to the north just to visit. Well, you're more than welcome, Steve. It'd be great to see you. Del Bongo says, Surviving the Game is a cracking film. The dinner table scene near the start is beyond, it's a brilliant. Surviving the Game is awesome. It's quite funny. Surviving the Game is out on loan at the moment. As you know, I mentioned it last week. And someone else came in the week and they got the list out. Jay. I said, right, first up, Surviving the Game. I said, Jay, it's out on loan. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, Jay, it's out on loan. No, it can't be. Why would someone rent that? I said, well, people rent films here. You know, that's what goes down. He couldn't believe that someone had the same idea to rent Surviving the Game. And that's the weird, crazy thing about this. It's like whenever people take films, I always say, look, you got these for a week, give or take. But however obscure, however weird the film you're renting is, bear in mind that someone will probably want it while you have it out on loan. So don't take the mickey. Please bring stuff back within a week to 10 days. Because it's surprising the stuff that I get asked for twice in the same week. Indie Phantom Sofa Cinema says, you are right that the late fees were the bane of the old rental stores. They really were. It prevented me from renting as many as I wanted to, and it always irked me they had to pay double or triple to rent the next time. I became more of a collector over time, but I remember hearing that some of the chain rental stores were dependent on those late fees to survive, which seemed counterintuitive. I'm old enough to even remember my dad putting down an $80 deposit to rent a VHS copy of Blade Runner. That was my first rental. Yeah, late fees are a funny one. I understand that a lot of stores say, well, we depend on those to increase revenue, but how much could you increase your revenue by if you didn't charge late fees, you didn't pee people off, and you just generated a better environment, a better feeling, a better mood in the store? I think that's really important. I must admit, I had about 10 people who had kind of gone over the 2-week mark, kind of in my black book, kind of, snarling at them each day that goes by. Just kidding. Most of those came back this week, funnily enough. And pretty much everyone was very, very apologetic and just said, that life had come up and things had happened and we just couldn't get them back. And it's fine, to be honest. But I always like to make the point that, we're a busy store, lots of customers. And so whatever you have, I do like it to be returned within a week or so. But you will never, ever, ever have to pay a late fee, because I just find it morally reprehensible, really. And yeah, I just don't like having that vibe. I don't like having that vibe of people hanging their head and walking up the store knowing they have to pay a fine. It's like a parking ticket, stuff like that. It's not good for business. It's not good for an atmosphere. It's not good for an environment. It's not good for establishing what we want to create here, which is a collaboration. It's a collective. It's a group of people who are all on the same level, and we all just want to see films, share stories, and talk about movies. Free Readings Phil said those Forbidden Hollywood look very, very interesting. Yes, they do, Phil. Look fantastic. Babyface has been on my watch list for years. Yeah, I can't wait to get stuck into them. Hopefully, I'll really make an effort this year to catch up with the other 10 or 11 volumes, which about 30 films, so that's amazing, really cool. Rise of the Phoenix. I didn't realize you don't have late fees. You just run on people's honesty. I do. It's like, when people come in and they want to join, I say there's no joining fee, there's no there's no membership, there's no, I just want just give me your first name. Give me your first name, that'll do. That's all I want to know. It's just good. It's a good environment. It's cool. It's chilled. It's nice and chilled. And, you got that respect. If you establish that respect early on, then that should echo through them returning the film and being courteous and looking after the discs and that kind of thing. It's like going back to Steve's comment at the start. I wish I had a video store. But think, Steve, how many of you would want to, I don't know, would want your deluxe copy of Masters of the Universe rented out by a complete stranger, knowing that that is now out of print, and any damage to it would render it worthless? I don't mind. I like the gamble. I like the risk. It's fun, Take a chance in life. It's short. What do we got? Carl McLaughlin. Freddy Got Fingered is either a film of utter incompetence or a knowing troll of a major Hollywood studio. You should get around to it, Dave. I might just do that, Carl. Holden Home Video. I still get people telling me they don't have a Blu-ray or 4K player while they have a PlayStation in every room of the house. This is true. I'm not sure they have a PlayStation in every room of the house, bathroom, for example. But most people do indeed have a PlayStation. I had another customer in this week who, the customer that rented Dr. Jekyll. I said, I've only got Dr. Jekyll on Blu-ray. Oh, I haven't got a Blu-ray player. You got PlayStation? What's your son got? Oh, he's got an Xbox One. There's your Blu-ray player. There's your Blu-ray player. Tom Jolliffe, thanks for the shout out for Baby and the Basket. No problem, Tom. I hope it's going well. I hope it's selling well in this country. At £6 in the supermarkets, it should do. It should do. Terry Uller, did the new Crow ever rent out? And the new Children of the Corn. The Crow had a very nice spell of renting out, the Blu-ray and the DVD. So it's done quite well in the end. It took a little while to take off, as some films do, but then they get a bit of momentum. I think people come in and see things on loan. They think, well, it's been on loan a couple of times. It must be good. So they kind of rented it. But no, Children of the Corn, the second remake, never rented out. But I'm still going to keep it because that's what we do. We don't cast aside films like Blockbuster do. We don't get a report. That's what used to happen in Blockbuster. You used to get a report every morning that would show you the films that haven't rented out in a particular period of time. And you were told to get rid of them. Don't do that here. We don't have reports. Films aren't, they don't walk a tightrope. We don't get Brides of Dracula. Well, Brides of Dracula, you haven't rented in 6 years, so sorry. You have 3 weeks to rent out. Otherwise, we're cutting you loose. It doesn't happen. Films are here to stay. Controversial comment, cream cheese. I think for every important release, there's a dozen inessential, i.e. generally rubbish movies released at a marked up price. Let's face it. Tricky one, that. What's the saying? One man's rubbish is another man's gold. I don't know, something like that. It's an interesting proposition, and to a lot of people who might just watch kind of mainstream stuff like Heretic, you're never going to watch Gut Pile, are you? You're never going to watch Gut Pile. But people say, well, why is Gut Pile out on Blu-ray? Why are you paying $22 for a copy of a 53-minute movie that was shot on tape 25 years ago? Why are you doing that? What's wrong with you? But it's about preservation. It's about keeping these films alive. And yes, some of them might not be in the pantheon of great films ever made, but that doesn't make them any less worthy of having a place on home video. Things cost money, unfortunately, whether it be the rights to the film or just the price of of distribution. It's going up all the time. So I don't know. We can say that films don't deserve a place, and we can say it's a crazy system whereby oh, this doesn't deserve a release. This is overpriced. And yeah, many things are overpriced because we know that there's a faithful market of people out there, boys and girls like us, who want to buy this stuff and will spend. Look at what was that film that came out from Synapse, Trick or Treat, the '86 movie. Didn't they price that at $66.66? And they sold out 6,000 copies. Goes to show you, crazy. But if the money's there and the distributors are going to get it, they'll charge it. And why not? I guess it's a business. It's only weird places like this that don't charge the F. Right, we best wrap up because it's getting late. We've been on for probably 45 minutes. I just want to show you 3 tapes. I like to include tapes because at the end of the day, people do call us a video store. We did start with videos, and one of my passions in life is highlighting movies that have never graduated beyond VHS or are unlikely to ever kind of have a day when have a second wind. This is one of them. The Project Shadow Chaser quadrilogy is one of the best franchises out there. If you want a good sci-fi franchise, I know I've mentioned these films before, but I love them to bits. This is the second film, Project Shadow Chaser 2, Night Siege, directed by John Ayres, who created the series. It is fantastic. Frank Zag and Brian Jones. Brilliant films. All 4 of them are fantastic. I think John Ayres, I think the negative for the first movie got lost in a fire. We do have a variant of it here on Blu-ray, which is good. It's decent. But 2, 3, and 4 have barely been seen past DVD. And it would be great just someday if they could finally receive the attention they deserve. Another great film which has never been past video anywhere in the world. Shadowhunter. Love this film to bits. Scott Glenn, spelt wrong. It's a wonderful film set in the Indian culture, and it's just fantastic. It's a great drama. It's written by our good friend Joe Cardone, directed by Joe Cardone. He lives in Arizona, just outside an Indian settlement, and he knows them well. He knows the culture, and he knows the people. He knows how they live. He drives through it on the way to his house. So it's a really accurate film. It's got some great representation as well, and it's just awesome. And it's never been past video, and it's a shame because it should be. It should be. It's a great piece of work. And finally, this one. I did a project a couple of years ago on a director called Paul Leader. You've probably never heard of him. He directed about 20 movies, again, most of which you've probably never seen. I don't think you probably will have seen any of them. And he's just one of the great unsung heroes of the film business. He influenced so many people. He was a friend to so many people. This is his magnum opus, Hearts of Fire. It never received a release in the UK. It barely got released in the US. I had to import it on this NTSC video. It's an awesome film set on the eve of the Democratic presidential race of 1968. Great cast, Cleveland Little, Vivica Limfors. And yeah, it's just a shame that stuff like this will never receive any attention again. Bizarre. But I have written about it on our website if you want to find out more, because it is a remarkable film. But it's one of the things that keeps me awake at night. Films like this that just kind of disappear. And we never think of them again. And we get excited for Masters of the Universe, which is fine. But we never think about the real quality that just bypasses us. It's a shame. It's a shame. One last word. One of my customers, Kai, who I mentioned before, he was really very generous. He dropped in a really cool project that he's working on, which is these lovely metal prints. Shiny metal. He's printed. He does whatever you want to print. Film posters predominantly, I presume. and he printed one of my t-shirts on this piece of sheet metal, which is cool. I've just got this up here behind the counter. His Facebook page is Peak Prints, Peak, P-E-A-K, Prints, P-R-I-N-T-S. You can follow him on Facebook, and yeah, he's doing really cool stuff on really shiny metal, and it's quite unique and a little bit different, and I like that. Really ambitious. A good guy who's good to know. And that's it, really. Like I said at the start, if you have anything that springs to mind regarding episode 50, then please let me know. But in the meantime, have a good week, watch some great films, and I will see you in 7 days' time.